Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shashank Ranjan, and I welcome you all to the daily current affairs show from our institute website www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in. NDI is a leading defense institute of India that prepares you for all India Sainik School entrance examination, NDA, CDS, AFCAT, CAPF till the SSB, where we believe in holding your hand till you get those stars on your shoulders and emblem on your hat. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin the discussion for the day. Now, the first article that we have is NATO Russia Council, NRC. Now, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and Russia discuss the ongoing situation in Ukraine and its implication for security in Europe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what happened is Russia and NATO. NATO was an organization which is a USA-led organization with USA, Canada, plus some European countries as the member, who are the allied power together, who have alliance together to protect each other against any kind of aggression that could be potentially be done by another group called the USSR. So the USSR or the Soviet Russia, United Socialist Soviet Russia, that was during the time of Cold War, the USA and USSR were against each other. Now, after the disintegration of USSR, so NATO was actually formed during that time, during the time of Cold War, and USSR after the Cold War got disintegrated. So basically, after the disintegration of USSR, it is said that the Cold War was also over. But after the disintegration of USSR, Russia annexed Crimea. So Crimea is a region in Ukraine. And it illegally occupied it, attacked the country, and it illegally occupied the area of Crimea. And that gave Russia a tactical advantage over the other European power. Now, after capturing this area, the European power and the USA declared that this kind of annexation is illegal and that Russia will have to pull back its army and make the region part of Ukraine as it was. But Russia is not ready to do that. And every year following that, there is always some kind of news that keeps coming, kind of a tension that's between the USSR and the USA with respect to this region of Crimea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the current situation is such that the situation worsens so much that it was believed that there could be potentially be a war. So the situation was so bad that it was believed that there could be potentially a war between the two countries. But the situation then got better because of the talks that's going on between the NATO and Russia, and the council that has been there to talk between the NATO and Russia, NATO members and Russia, is the NRC Council. All right. Now the talks happened at NATO Russia Council NRC, which took place at NATO headquarters in Brussels. NRC is a forum for consultation with Russia on security issues and cooperation. NATO was founded in 1949 and is meant to ensure collective protection of its members. The United Nations, the United States, Canada, and American allies in Europe against the treaty of the possible post-war communist expansion and aggression by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union too formed its own defense and political alliance with the Eastern European nations to counterbalance NATO. That was known as the Warsaw Pact, which was signed in 1955, but this alliance got disbanded after the dissolution of USSR in 1991. So after 1991, dissolution of USSR took place, and then the whole Cold War thing was over. So during that time, the Warsaw Pact was also over. Since April 2014, practical civil and military cooperation between the cooperation under the NRC with Russia has been suspended. Now, this happened in response of Russia's military intervention in Ukraine and its annexation of Crimea from Ukraine. Okay, so since 2014, so 2014 was the year actually when the Russians attacked the Ukraine and annexed the Crimea region, which NATO does not recognize or refer it to as illegal or illegitimate occupation of Russia. Okay, this was the first time since World War II that a European Union had a European nation had annexed the territory from another country. The region that Russia annexed in 2014 is now under Russian-backed separatists, and even today fighting continues there. Okay. Now let's move to the next news, that is India EdTech Consortium. Now India's rapidly growing EdTech sector recently took a step towards self-regulation with a clutch of leading companies adopting the set of guidelines to conduct their businesses. The companies have formed a collective India EdTech Consortium under the aegis of industry body Internet and Mobile Association of India, IAMAI. The collective has been formed after the government announced that it was working on a policy to regulate the sector. Okay, so ed tech industry is growing today at very rapid speed. We have Unacademy, we have Byju's, Lido Learning. Uh, there are many online platforms that has come up, and to regulate them now, there has been unfair practices in the business that has come there, because there are sometimes the teachers who are not qualified enough, but they're teaching on those kind of platforms. Now government want to regulate it because when especially during the COVID pandemic, now when the students have become very much dependent upon the digital education, at this point of time it is very important that the students get educated by the perfectly qualified person who could teach them. But since there is no such regulation and anyone and everyone go apply there and they start teaching, the government wanted certain kind of regulations to be done. Now, to putting this news into perspective, these edtech companies came together, they collaborated together, made a kind of a union together, so that if suppose there is any kind of regulation that comes from the government side which is not suitable to the industry, then all of them could join together, join hands together and protest against such regulation from the government. Okay, so how does the collective plan to set things right? The EdTech Consortium has adopted a 3-page code of conduct for their businesses. The code is to attempt to address the concern raised by government. So if government raises some kind of concern, then first of all, they will collectively decided, okay, if this is the concern, no problem, sir. We will try to implement these things in our education sector. Most of the clauses allude to the red flag that has been raised by the recent past. The companies like Byju's, Career 360, Great Learning, Hadappa, the Times EduTech, and Events Ltd, Scalar, Simply Learn, Topper, Unacademy, Upgrade, Vedantu, White Hat Junior, among others, have claimed to have adopted the mantra, what is told is what is sold. Okay, so apart from stressing on the transparency and warning against the misleading ads, the code of conduct says that the companies are expected to use legal terms of qualification such as MBA, BBA, and others in the ad only when it is compliant with the guidelines issued by UGC and AICTE. Because what happens that they simply start giving out course, and the edutech company, they do not even say that okay whether the child is qualified enough to clear certain exam or not. It's like there's no no criteria set. For example, if there is any particular job that requires a very good communication skill, but if suppose that person comes from a village, but still that person from person coming from a village who has studied in, for example, the regional school since his childhood, and proper training is proper counseling is not done for the kid. See, any kid can do anything, okay, that's good, but then a certain kind of counseling is required, that what are the things that a kid needs to improve. But that kind of counseling is not provided by these ed tech companies. What they do, they treat all the student like the same. If suppose certain job requires a very high quality communication skill in English, for example. Now the student has always studied in the regional language. Can these edutech company not tell them that instead of appearing for this examination and wasting your 3 to 4, 5 years, because the young generation, they are doing it. Okay, they keep wasting 2, 3, 4, 5 years on one examination, and then after wasting all the attempt, they go back home, which is also not right. Why don't these people who are qualified enough tell these students, counsel them, tell them that, okay, you know what, if you prepare for this kind of job, these kind of examination, you will qualify very easily. But this is not being done. So all these things the government wants that you display that what is the right education qualification required, what is the right criteria is required. So you give them counsel, you tell them in fair manner. Okay. Next we have is Venisha Uma Shankar. Okay, so Miss Venisha Uma Shankar, a student innovator turned environmentalist from the Tiruvannamalai district of Tamil Nadu, has been selected as the change maker and the baton bearer for the ongoing 16th official Queen's Baton Relay, 12 to 15 January 2022 in India. The 16th official Queen's Baton Relay started at the Buckingham Palace in London on 7th of October 2021 and is scheduled to conclude on 28th of July 2022 at the opening ceremony of Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games after traveling 72 nations and territories of the Commonwealth for 294 days. With the arrival of Baton in India, the 27th nation in the route, the Queen's Baton Relay will continue in India from the 12th to 15th of January 2022. Okay. Next, see, the thing is that since India got independence, and then this something called the Commonwealth thing has come. Now this, wherever you see this term Commonwealth game or some Commonwealth meeting, so these all are those countries who were actually the part of British Empire and they got independent from Britishers later. Okay, so all of them are collectively come under the Commonwealth countries. Now when the Buckingham Palace is opening up in the month of July to to celebrate a kind of it, this opening ceremony, Commonwealth game, opening ceremony of Buckingham 2022 Commonwealth game, 72 nations who were the part of the Commonwealth, in that this relay race is going on. That is, if suppose India, let's take 3 examples. Okay, we have Pakistan, then adjoining to Pakistan we have India, adjoining to India we have Myanmar. Okay, now you can say that, okay, yeah, let it be. So relay would be something like this, that here the other part that was Pakistan was a part of Commonwealth. So first of all, the baton will be passed to Pakistan. Somebody from Pakistan will go, they'll take this marathon, the baton, and then pass it to somebody from India here. Now from here the baton will be traveling and Indians will be taking it. Pakistanis will stop here, Indians will be taking it, and Indians will take it till the boundary of Myanmar. And from the Myanmar again, the baton will be taken out. So this way. All right. So the arrival of baton, with the arrival of baton in India, 27th nation in the route, the Queen's Baton Relay will continue in India from 12th to 15th of January 2022. So for 3 days, it will remain in India. In 3 days, somebody from here to here will travel and pass it to Myanmar. So that's the thing. All right. Now, Venisha Uma Shankar received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam IGNITE Award instituted by National Innovation Foundation, NIF, India, an autonomous body of Department of Science and Technology, for her mobile ironing cart. The cart uses solar panel to power a steam iron box and turned out to be an inspiration for the world after her speech at 26th Conference of Parties of UNFCCC in 2021 at Glasgow, Scotland. A key benefit of Venisha's solar ironing cart is that it eliminates the need of coal for ironing, bringing about a welcome shift towards the clean energy. And users can move around and offer services at doorsteps for increasing their daily earnings. The ironing cart can also be fitted with a coin-operated GSM PCO, USB charging points, and the mobile recharging, which can fetch extra income. India is committed towards solving the global climate change problem through science, technology, and innovation-based solutions. Its next generation of innovators like Manisha, who provide the nation a strong hope that tomorrow can be better than today by virtue of their scientific thinking, the societal focus, and the institutional support mechanism like the one offered by NIF in India would be replicated in the other parts of the world. Okay, the next news that we have is Katra Hill fault. Now, the major earthquake event in the last 30,000 years resulted in the spectacular changes in the landscape of the Katra Hill fault in the Kutch region in Gujarat. A study conducted on sediment samples revealed. The seismicity of Kutch region is highly complex as it is characterized by multiple seismic sources in the form of several east-west trending fault line, which release continuous accumulating tectonic stresses at intervals producing the earthquake. For example, you see, ladies and gentlemen, the thing is that if we observe the map of India and we see Gujarat, all right, now Gujarat is this. Okay, now you know one more thing, that we have Africa here, right? Here we have Africa, all right? Africa is something like this. And then what we have here is Saudi Arabia. And after Saudi Arabia, we have these countries like Pakistan, and them here we have Arabian Peninsula, right? Arabian Peninsula. And this is the African continent. Now, what we have here is a Red Sea. Now, this is the Great Rift Valley of Africa. This is the Great Rift Valley of Africa. Okay. Now, the Great Rift Valley of Africa is nothing but a kind of a fault line. Okay. So here we have the divergent plate boundaries, that are diverging away from each other. You see the plate boundaries diverging away from each other. Now, this has developed a kind of a crack here. So this crack is increasing every day, and this crack extends up to Gujarat. Now, this region is also a divergent plate boundary here. The effect of this divergence exists. It comes to India, and this is diverging. Therefore, you see a lot of seismicity, lot of earthquake happening here in this region of Kutch in Gujarat. Okay. So I hope you understood this basic concept. Now, the real-time monitoring of the earthquake since the occurrence of the devastating 2011 Bhuj earthquake indicate the most of the fault in the region, that is Kutch mainland fault and South Wagad fault and Gedi fault, and the island belt fault are seismically active. However, the seismic activity along other faults like the Control Hill fault is not apparent, thus making the task of seismic hazard estimation and mitigation in the region scientifically complex process. Okay. So since all the region does not have equal kind of seismicity level, therefore it becomes very tough for the organization to predict when the earthquake is going to come. Okay, so that's the main thing here. Now, India UK FTA. FTA is free trade agreement. Okay. Now, India and UK launched free trade agreement negotiation. So there's a negotiation going on between UK and India for free trade. The Minister of Commerce and the Industry, Piyush Goyal, launched free trade agreement negotiations with the United Kingdom, along with RT Honorable Annie Mary and Annie Mary Trevelyan, the UK Secretary of State for International Trade in New Delhi. The FTA is expected to facilitate the target of doubling the bilateral trade between India and UK by 2030. So if this happens, if the trade relation between India and UK starts doubling, then India is going to take a huge kind of profit from UK. Okay, set by the prime ministers on both the nations, Sri Narendra Modi and Mr. Boris Johnson in May 2021. The FTA with UK is expected to provide certainty, predictability, and transparency, and will create a more liberal, facilitative, and competitive services regime. The FTA negotiation with UK is expected to increase our exports in leather, textile, jewelry, and processed agri product. India is also expected to register a quantum jump in the export of marine product through the recognition of 56 Marine Unit of India. The mutual recognition agreement on pharma could provide additional market access. There is also great potential for increasing export in the service sector like IT or ITES, nursing, education, healthcare, including Ayush and the audio visual services. India would also be seeking special arrangements for movement of its people. Next, what we have is Marathi. Okay, now the Maharashtra government has introduced a new rule under which all small shops and establishment needs to display Marathi signboard in the Devanagari script. Marathi is an Indo-Aryan language predominantly spoken in Marathi people in the Indian state of Maharashtra. It is the official language of Maharashtra and co-official languages in Goa and the Union Territory of Dadar, Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu. It is one of the 22 scheduled languages of India and 83 million speakers as of 2011. The government of Maharashtra has submitted an application to the Ministry of Culture to grant the classical language status to Marathi. Now, in India, we have only few classical languages. So number one is Sanskrit. Number two is Tamil. Number three is Kannada. Number four is Telugu, and number five is Malayalam. Malayalam, and number six is Oriya. Okay, so these are the 6 languages in India that are classified under the classical languages. So classical languages are those languages which are very, very old languages. Okay, they are considered under the classical languages. The 7th one is going to be Marathi. So maybe this will get, I think it will get easily approved. So in the coming time, let's see if it gets approved or not. But Marathi is most probably going to get approved. Okay, now the major dialects of Marathi are the standard Marathi and the Varhadi dialect. The Marathi distinguishes inclusive and exclusive form of we, possesses a 3-way gender system that features the neuter in addition to the masculine and the feminine. The Marathi Day is celebrated on 27th of Feb, the birthday of the poet Kusmagaraj, and that is Vishnu Varman Sirvarkar. Okay, so on his birthday, this Marathi Day is celebrated. The most important thing here is to know about the classical languages in India. Okay, let's move to the next news article that we have here. Okay, so the next news article is on India Forest Survey Report 2021. Now, this is very, 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 very important report, ladies and gentlemen. Every year, whenever there is a forest survey report that comes, the news has to, the question has to come from this part. India Forest Survey Report is absolutely important news. A lot of questions will come for sure. Okay, now the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released India State of Forest Report 2021, prepared by Forest Survey of India, FSI, which has been mandated to assess the forest and tree resources of the country. Major findings. What are the major findings? Let's see. First thing, the total forest area and tree cover of the country is 80.9 million hectare, which is 24.62%. Important. Okay, important, mark it this way, important of the geographical area of the country, as compared to the assessment in 2019, which was 2,261 square kilometer. The total forest and tree cover in the country, out of this, the increase in forest cover observed is 1,540 square kilometer, and the tree cover by 721 square kilometer. Increase in forest cover has been observed in open forest, followed by very dense forest. Top 3 states showing increase are very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andhra Pradesh with the highest forest increase, followed by Telangana and Odisha. Area wise, Madhya Pradesh has the largest forest cover. Very, very important. Okay. Area wise, Madhya Pradesh has the largest forest cover in the country, followed by Arunachal Pradesh. This is the second largest. Okay. The terms of the forest cover as percentage to the total geographical area, in terms of forest cover as percentage of total geographical area, again important. So this is again according to the area. Now, definitely the area of Madhya Pradesh is more than the area of Gujarat. More than the area of Goa. But if we calculate in terms of percentage, then we will know about the density of forest per unit area. Are you understanding? Or else those states which are big in size will obviously be having more forest. But here, if we calculate it in the percentage basis, on the basis of the per unit area, then we will get to know about the forest density. So among that, the top 5 states are Mizoram, which is 84.53. So Mizoram is the #1 state in India according to the forest density, according to the total geographic percentage coverage. Mizoram is #1. Very important. Okay. Mizoram is #1, followed by Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland. These are the state which has very high forest cover in India. Okay, now let's move. Okay, let me clear this. All right. So now let's move to the next items here. So 17 states, union territories have, okay, 17 states and union territories have above 33% of geographical area under forest cover. Out of these states, union territories, 5 states and union territories, namely Lakshadweep, Mizoram, Andaman and Nicobar Island, Arunachal Pradesh, and Meghalaya, have more than 75% forest cover. The total mangrove cover in the country is 4,992 square kilometer. Now, this number is not very important. An increase of 17 square kilometer in the mangrove cover has been observed as compared to previous assessment year 2019. Top 3 states, now again important, top 3 states showing the mangrove cover increase are Odisha, that's #1, very important, followed by Maharashtra, that's #2, very important, followed by Karnataka, that's #3, which is very important. Okay, so #1 is Odisha, that has the largest number of mangrove cover, and this cover is on the basis of percentage increase. I mean, increase. The total carbon stock in the forest is estimated to be 7,204 million tons, and there is an increase of 79.4 million ton in carbon stock as compared to last assessment year 2019. The carbon stock is basically, if the trees are there, they are known as the natural carbon sink. Okay, they are known as the natural carbon sink. So the our atmosphere has a lot of carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which is very, very bad for our earth. The climate change is occurring because of it. Now we have to bring the level down of this accumulated carbon dioxide. Now that can be done by producing more and more carbon sink, because what carbon sink does, it stores carbon within itself. Now forest is known as the carbon sink. Why? Because it takes up of the carbon dioxide and converts it into oxygen. Correct. Therefore, it is a very, very high reservoir of carbon. It converts carbon. Now the total stock of the carbon which is present in our country is 7,204 million tons. That is this much carbon dioxide. India today has the capacity that it has this much of carbon dioxide. It has given a gift to the world, that it has accumulated within itself, captured 7,204 million tons of carbon dioxide within itself because of these kind of forest production. And there is an increase of 79.4 million ton in the carbon stock in the country as compared to the last assessment year 2019. The annual increase in the carbon stock is 39.7 million metric ton. I mean million tons. Okay, now let's move to the next news, that is India Sri Lanka relation. So India confirmed a $400 billion currency swap with Sri Lanka while deferring another 500 million due to settlements to the Asian Clearing Union in a move aiming to helping the island nation witnessing an unprecedented economic crisis. Okay, so we know that currently Sri Lanka is under a very high economic crisis. Now, if suppose India does not help this island nation, if India does not help Sri Lanka, then China is there to help. Now, India does not want China to, bring about its soft power in the region like Sri Lanka, which has had very good relationship with India in the historical past. Therefore, in this move, India has done this $400 million currency swipe. Okay, so $400 million currency swipe it means that India has given $400 million equivalent rupees to Sri Lanka, and it has taken $400 million Sri Lankan currency, right? So it has swapped the currency. So $400 million worth Sri Lankan currency India has taken from Sri Lanka, and India has given it that much value of rupees. So what is the use of it? Its use is, first of all, India has given it rupees. Now there are various projects that are going on in Sri Lanka, which is done by there are various construction at the port, airports, which is going on there in Sri Lanka. Now what Sri Lanka can do is okay, let me explain this. Now what Sri Lanka can do, Sri Lanka, for the projects that India is doing at Sri Lanka, okay, what Sri Lanka can do is Sri Lanka can use this rupees that India has given to it to pay it to India. It can pay using this rupees. It can pay to India. Okay. Now, once Sri Lanka pays it to India, in terms of rupees, it can pay, because India, why will India say that, no, I want dollars only? India's currency is rupees. If this country wants to give rupees, India will accept. So this country, Sri Lanka, will give it the rupees. How? Because India has given it, right? Now, India has also taken the same amount from Sri Lanka. Now, how it will help Sri Lanka? So, since India has that money, now obviously with that money which India has from Sri Lanka, India cannot go and trade with Pakistan. India cannot go and trade with China with that rupees, or with the currency of Sri Lanka, or cannot trade with USA. Right? India will have to trade with Sri Lanka only. So now India will have to buy something from Sri Lanka again with the same amount. So are you understanding? So it is going to help Sri Lanka in two ways. First, with the money that India has given to Sri Lanka, now Sri Lanka can pay back India in terms of the same rupees. Now India has said that, don't worry, Sri Lanka, you give us your money, I'll give you my money. Using my money, you pay to my people, and with your money, I will purchase some goods from you. Okay, so that your businessmen, your farmers will again earn some money. So it's kind of a profit that Sri Lankans will enjoy, right? So this will help them. The economic crisis that's going on in Sri Lanka, that could be tranquilized a little bit. And at the same time, it has also deferred $500 million of payment. That is, now Sri Lanka will not have to give return back $500 million loan due for settlement, okay, to Asian Clearing Council. Now, India has deferred this. India said that, don't worry, $500 million we will pay from your side to them. Don't worry. Okay, so this is a kind of a friendly gesture that India has shown. So I hope this news article is clear to you. All right. So let's move to the next news article, that is Siachen. Now, Siachen, we are all right. We are not averse to demilitarization of the Siachen Glacier, but the precondition in Pakistan has accepted the actual ground position line, AGPL Army Chief General Manoj Naravne said. Okay, so what the General Manoj Naravne, he said is that Pakistani army has accepted the actual ground position line, AGPL. So just like LOC, what is the current line of control? Okay, so basically let me tell you that there are different kind of borders in India. Okay, number one is there is something called international border, which is known as IB. Okay, All right. Once again. Okay. So there is something called IP, which is international boundary. Okay. Next, we have, this is the first one. Second, we have LOC, that is line of control. Line of control. Next, we have is LAC, that is line of actual control. And next, we have the AGPL, which is the actual ground position line. Okay. Now IB is the international boundary. So IB is an international boundary which is defined by United Nations. I mean, this boundary is accepted by the two countries. Two countries say that okay, this is international boundary, and both the nations respect that particular boundary. It is certified by United Nations that okay, this is an international border, and there is no dispute. So there is no dispute. There is no dispute. Okay. Next is LOC. LOC is line of control. Okay, line of control is not an international boundary. Now, line of control is where the army is deployed. It is basically a kind of a line where whichever country is powerful can push the other country. So it is a highly disputed region. Okay, where two countries can push each other. The same thing goes with LAC also. Okay, both countries can push each other, but these name has been locally adopted. In India, line of control is said to be between India and POK, India and Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and LAC is the line between India and China. Okay, let's not call it China. Let's call it Tibet. Okay. Okay. I will write in the bracket China. Okay. So as an Indian, I believe that that's illegal territory occupied by China. That should be Tibet, and that must get independence from China. Next is the AGPL, actual ground position line. Now this AGPL or actual ground position line is there in Siachen. Okay, this is the name that's given in Siachen. That shows about the actual ground position line, and that again is a kind of a boundary where the other country accepts that okay, the other country is present, at this level, we are present at this particular level, and if they want, they can push each other, occupy the territory. That's completely on the two armies. Okay, whatever they want to do, but the actual ground position line is basically that where we say that okay, army is there, the foot soldiers are there on the foot, so there's no boundaries, there's no fencing, nothing. It's just the actual ground position line. So these are the four things. Now what General Naravne has said is that Pakistan has accepted finally that the actual ground position line is where India is present. Okay, and that they do not seek to do any kind of intervention. So they have accepted that okay, this is where India is present and we are not going to disturb anymore. But the army general said that there is no we have not decided anything on pulling back our troops from the region. The troops will still be there. Okay, so this is what is this news all about, and these are the most important things here which you have to keep in your mind. All right. The next news that we have here is Europe gas crisis. Now, Europe's natural gas crisis isn't letting up. The reserves are low, prices are high. Utility customers are facing expensive bills. Major Russian supplier Gazprom isn't selling gas like it used to. Okay. It all raises the question, how exactly in Europe, which imports most of its energy going to make it through the winter without a gas disaster, especially if the season turns out to be colder or longer than usual. The state-owned Gazprom of Russia has sold less short-term gas through its pipeline crossing Poland and Ukraine, and hasn't filled as much of its European storage as it normally does. Though it appears to be fulfilling its long-term contract, the analysts believe Russia may be underlining its desire for Europe to approve the Nord Stream 2 pipeline to Germany that bypasses Poland and Ukraine. There are there 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 also are increased tension with Europe over the Russian troops deployed near the Ukraine border. Kazakhstan, the resource-rich Central Asian country, supplies oil to European Union but not gas, and the oil flow wasn't affected by the violent protests that began over soaring fuel prices, but quickly spread, reflecting the wider discontent over Kazakhstan's authoritarian government. The European government are offering cash subsidies to consumers to soften the blow. Sweden became the latest country by announcing 6 billion kroner, that is $661 million, to help household most affected by the higher electric prices. The solution is more investment in the renewables such as the wind and solar, yet the official concede that the gas will play a role for the years during that transition. All right, so these were the most important news that we had on our website today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this discussion was helpful to all of you, and all the best for your examination, ladies and gentlemen. Keep preparing well, and if you have any doubts or queries, please post it in the comment box below, or if you want to contact with us, reach out to us on our phone number given on the website www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet in the next news discussion. Thank you so much.